Okay, last video we finished off the pleats on the rompers. This video we're going to finish off the armholes. I'm going to go over all the different options you have so you will decide which way you want to finish off this little armhole here. I'm going to show you how I did it. I just went ahead and did a turn and tuck. I sewed a piece of fabric on here, cut it down to a 1/2 inch, and I clipped my seam, and then I turned and then I tucked. You don't get a really nice finish that way. In fact, I even tried making these to see what they would actually look like on this fabric. But you do, unless you're really good at like applique, you're going to get little bumps, but you know it's not bad. You know, so that's your finish on your armholes. So if you don't like that, you have a couple of different options. Number one, you can make up your own pattern. So what you do is you just take your freezer paper and you take the original pattern. Okay, so here's my original pattern. So I'm going to make my own facing. Okay, so you just put your pattern on top of your freezer paper and you just draw, whoops, stay in the lines, draw your own facing. Okay, so usually when you do a facing like this, you're going to want to be able to get your seam in here, right? So there's your 1/4 inch, and then you're going to want to go, if you want to do that turn under the edges, like if you had a facing like this, if you want to turn under the edges, you're going to want to make it a little bit wider than I made these. Okay, so here's one I tried before, but anyway, so here this one is a little too thin if you want to do a turn under, but if you want to do that 1/4 inch turn under and then your zigzag, you're just going to want to come out further than this. You're going to make your, you know, you can do neater than that, but that's what your facing will look like. So that'll give you enough room to do a 1/4 inch turn under. You'll be able to sew your facing on, make your cuts, and then turn and then put it on your romper if you like the facing look. This one I tried to do a facing on the serger. I started out really good, but if you've ever tried to do circles on the serger, you end up going off, you know, because they love these straight stitches on, I mean the straight line stitching on the serger. But if you're really good at doing circles, you could do it on the serger and you get a really nice finish on your facing if you want to do that. Here is, I took my same facing and I went with my overlock stitch, my G-foot on my regular machine, and I did a overlock stitch. You can do a nicer one if you want like a more even stitch like this one right here. Number 23, it'll give you more of a this look here instead of the regular overlock stitch. Okay, that's an option. Then you've got, you can do bias tape. Like I did the armholes on these tunics. You can do this, but if you do this technique, what you do is you're going to take little clips in here about 1/8 inch in, and then when you sew your bias tape, you're going to sew it in a straight manner, so that when you go to flip it over, you're just going to be able to get that in there. So little clips, and then sew it as close to straight as you can, then flip, tuck, and then you'll have your bias tape inside there. Another option is you can use, if you're doing a plain fabric, you can use a contrast and go with something completely different. I was at a, excuse me, my husband and I went to a indoor garage sale. Excuse me. I just got something in my throat. We went to an indoor garage sale and I got this whole bag of bias tape, double fold, single fold, extra wide bias tape. Now if I was using a regular blue This is a extra wide double fold, single fold. I could have used that. I could use that for even the top of my, say I was doing a plain one, I could use this as my, not only my casing around the top, but you could also use that as casing around your maybe you can't, not this one, it's too wide. Yeah, it wouldn't be able to make that turn. You'd have to go with a single fold. Let me see if I have a single fold here. Here's a single fold. I mean a 1/4 inch single fold. You could use this one, and you can get around that corner. Let me cut this off. Okay, so you could just make that and show that on the outside of your fabric. That would be really cute too. And then sew that all the way around. And you can turn that and get that so it would be real pretty. So you'd have a different contrast. And you can get them in all different. If you did like black and white one and then had this as your, it'd be really cute. I mean, you can come up with some really clever designs. The reason I bought this bag of this stuff is because I saw this and I had no idea they actually made denim bias tape, but they really do. This is stretch denim, and it's double fold, extra wide bias tape. So I don't have any idea what you would use this for, but it's the first time I've seen this. So I looked it up online, and it's still available. Somebody's selling this package right now on Amazon for $6.95. But I thought, you know, you could make aprons with this, all kinds of stuff. And I thought, wow, I've never seen that. I've never seen this one, and I've never seen this fleece one. This is for, I guess, making fleece blankets for babies or whatever. Let me see if I can get this one open. And I thought, wow, that's pretty clever. I didn't look this one up. I assume it's still available, but I've never seen this one either. And it's, yeah, it's fleece. It's nice and soft in there. Let me just cut this open. I guess this would be really nice to have for being stuck to it. I don't know how old this is. It's probably very old. Yeah, if it's so old, this is stuck to it. I'll be darned. Alright, well, let's see how much I can actually save on this. So look at that. That would be really cute for pajamas on the dolls. But you can even get the double fold or even blankets. You just take a piece of fleece and then you can use that as binding for your blankets. I guess that's what they were for. How clever is that? The extra wide double fleece binding. Interesting. Okay, well anyway, that was my adventures in shopping. So that's the differences in bias tape. If you, this one, they made their own, the original one, they made their own piece of they made their own facing, and they didn't even finish it off. They just sewed it right down without even finishing the seam. So I guess if you use the right kind of fabric, you don't even have to worry about finishing off that seam, but I would finish it off. Okay, so that's that one. Here's another one where you can turn and tuck. This was that jacket I made that has a little sleeves on it. I did the same thing. I made my own binding, and then I just turned and tucked it all the way around. And with you still get those little, but you know, it's cute. I mean, you really can't tell because it's in the inside of and you don't have to worry about any raw edges when you do it that way. Okay, so that's that. So I'm going to show you how I do it. So let me get rid of all this stuff. But those are your options for your bias tape. Okay, so what I do is I just take a piece of, I'm done with this, done with this, done with this, done with this. This goes in the trash. Okay, so let me take my piece of fabric. So I'm just going to take a square of fabric. I'm going to use a piece of chalk to make my bindings for my armholes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm just going to set it here on the armhole, right sides together. See how I'm going to do that? I'm just going to take a couple pins, pin it down, So I'm going to go back to my straight stitch. Why am I not putting this? Okay, I'm going to go down to my 1/4 of an inch. Make sure I'm in view here. Okay, so I'm just going to put my square of fabric on here, and I'm going to sew around my armhole. Regular 1/4 of an inch seam. Okay, so we'll go ahead and do that. And we'll go nice and slow around the edges. Pull your pins out when you get to them. Lift and turn. Okay. I've just sewn a square of fabric on my armhole. Okay. Alright. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut this flush with the top of the romper. Okay. I'm going to cut this little circle out. I'm going to trim my, if you go over that 1/4 of an inch, just trim down till you've got your 1/4 of an inch. Okay, so now we still got all this bulk to deal with on this side. Let me trim some of these threads off. Okay, so take a piece of chalk, and I'm going to do the turn and tuck. So I'm going to go out a 1/2 inch only. So go out 1/2 inch with your chalk from your seam line, okay? Not the opening. Go out 1/2 inch. You can eyeball this. You really don't need the chalk. I'm just doing this for demonstration purposes. But just take your scissors and cut. Be careful not to cut the original piece of fabric. Just cut around 1/2 inch. A little bit higher than 1/2 inch. I don't know where my ruler is. Here it is. Let me give you an accurate count as to how I do it. Little bit on the, yeah, a little bit greater than 1/2 inch. Okay, and don't cut any of your fabric. If it's not perfect, doesn't matter because you're going to turn and tuck. Okay, all right. So we've got that, and we've got that sewn on both sides. We've cut it out. Now we're going to take our scissors and we're going to clip these all the way around. Okay. So if this, and then now we're going to be able to turn and tuck. So we're going to turn and we're going to tuck. You're going to have a little extra fabric because we have more to tuck in than does not want to go in. So if you're really good at like applique, you're going to know how to do this really, really well. I'm not that good at applique, but I try. So turn and tuck. You're going to end up with a little extra fabric at the top, and you can just trim that even. So if it's not even right now, just get it turned, and then, gosh, my needles, my pins are getting dull. I'm just going to have to change them out. Okay, you can always come back and readjust all these. Okay, Now, if you want to make these to sell them, I'd go with another option. I'd go with something that turns out more professional looking than this. But since these are just for me, I'm okay with the turn and the tuck. Okay, see I have a little extra up there? I'm just going to cut that flush. Okay, same with the other side. We're going to turn and tuck it. See that little extra you're going to end up with at the top? That's because you're going on a bias. You're going to end up with that extra. Okay, so now that you've got that pretty much turned and tucked, you're going to look at it and say, oh, do I like that? Okay. If you don't like it, then now's the time you want to fix it before you take it to the sewing machine. I don't like that, so I'm going to fix this one. Okay, so we'll put a pin here. I like that better. I don't really care for this one here. So I'm going to turn it and I'm going to tuck this a little bit better. Okay, so now we're ready to take it to the sewing machine and sew it down. Does it look good? Looks good to me. Okay, so I'm going to go to my center stitch because I'm going to sew as close to this line here as possible. Alright, so let's do that. Now you're going to lose 1/4 of an inch at the top, so if it's not really nice on the top, don't worry about it. You're going to cover it with your top of your romper. Okay, so let's take that out. And we're sewing right on the very edge of that. Fix that as I sew it here. I don't know if you've ever done applique, but applique is almost like this. You tuck it under and you sew it by hand. If you don't want to do this by sewing machine, do it by hand and you won't have that outside stitch. I mean, there's just so many options. So we've got one down, and let me just cut all my threads off. Okay, so that's basically it. Okay, so I didn't get a tuck very well here, but that's it. So if you like this option, you can use this one. If you don't like that option, then go with the bias tape or the facing or the serging. It's whatever you feel comfortable with. Okay, so lots of options on that. Okay, so I'm going to do the other one, and then when we come back, we will put the tops on the top of the romper here.